Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hello and welcome to another edition of Encounters. Today I have with me a very esteemed guest. He's the General Secretary of Caste Watch UK. His name is Davendra Prasad. We're going to discuss with him his experiences in England as an immigrant initially, and then we're going to carry on and go through some of the issues that he's faced as a British citizen with the British, but more so with his own community, or what we would perceive as a whole community that we consider ourselves to be. We're going to discuss more in depth regarding intercommunal problems within what is perceived as an entire community as a whole. Mr. Prasad, welcome.
Thank you very much. And before I start, I would like to say Gur Fateh, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh to all your listeners of Sangat Television.
Thank you. Mr. Prasad, so yourself, you moved to England when you were 28?
That's right, yeah.
You're
giving away my age.
I am. No, I'm not. You moved here in 28. I didn't say when. I didn't say when you moved here.
I will say that.
You moved here at 28. Where did you move from?
I came from Delhi.
From Delhi in India?
Delhi in India. And that was in 1980.
And well, you've given away your age.
Yeah, and they were very good times, you know. I came here actually. I used to work in India in Indian Railways.
Right.
As a divisional mechanical engineer, DME.
Right.
Which was a very prestigious position in India. Working for railways and working for army, and obviously IAS, you know, positions in Indian Administrative Service.
Right.
They were the prestigious positions, and I was fortunate to be posted in Delhi in Indian Railways before I came here.
Were you from Delhi? You didn't move there for employment?
No. I was born there and I grew up there. I had my education in Delhi.
Right.
And then when I came here, I mean...
what kind of education was that?
Well,
for yourself to end up in Indian Administrative Service?
Well, you know, to reach those positions.
Yeah.
I mean, my father realized when we were very young that there is education and there is education.
Indeed.
And just by, you know, if you just read and write and, you know, things, people say you can read and write and you're educated. But my father realized that in order to be successful in life, education has to be
higher education.
Higher education, which means sending your children to good schools, right? So I went to a private school, and which now in hindsight, you know, if we didn't do that, I wouldn't be where I was in India and in this country.
Yeah.
And I was in private school, and it was one of the best schools in Delhi. And one thing, you know, which was very good about my school was that in Delhi we used to have, particularly when we were doing higher secondary, we didn't have 10 plus and all that in those days. The system has changed.
Yeah.
It used to be higher secondary. And when we were doing higher secondary, there used to be a merit list, you know, in the schools, where top 10 children in the school were listed in the merit list.
In Delhi?
In Delhi, yeah.
The top 10 students
top 10
of all
in the whole of
Delhi.
Right. would come in the merit list when the results were declared.
Yeah.
Like when we have A levels and GCSE results, we used to have higher secondary results, and it used to be publicized in the newspaper. And our school, I still remember, after 10, every year, 3, 4, up to 5 people used to be from our school. So now you can imagine what kind of level of education, you know, and what kind of standard of education it would have been in our school. So I was lucky, and I mean...
It was like the Eton of India.
It was Eton of Delhi, but prestigious school, right? Which was known for very good results. Right? And the result of that was that after higher secondary, you know, education, obviously the next step used to be go for higher education.
University.
And I chose to be an engineer, right? And in our days, because India now is one of the G20 countries, it's very advanced and developed. It wasn't the case in those days, right? When I passed my higher secondary. And private sector wasn't very developed, right? So all the people, who wanted success in life, their avenues were like going into IAS, Indian Foreign Service.
Yeah.
If we were interested in that kind of job.
Government-sponsored jobs.
But to get prestigious jobs, they were either with Indian Army,
yeah.
or in Indian Railways, or engineering, company.
But then it was less capitalist, wasn't it? It was more nationalistic.
That's right. Yeah.
Jobs.
And I competed in this Indian IIT. They used to call it Indian Institute of Technology. There were 5 IITs. One was in Delhi, one was in Kanpur, one was in Kharagpur.
Yeah.
One was in Madras, and which is Chennai now.
Chennai, yeah.
And one was in Bombay. And out of all the 5 IITs, the top ranking IIT, because there was, a different league in IITs as well. IIT Kanpur was supposed to be the best, right? And to reach IIT Kanpur in mechanical engineering, you had to be amongst the top.
Yeah, it was an elite university basically. For elite
so
students.
I was lucky, right? I got out of the school. I had a brilliant, results. Missed my merit, list, which, I never forgiven myself for that.
A couple of points.
But I managed to get into IIT, right? And managed to get my chosen subject, which was mechanical engineering, And then after IIT, when I completed my education, I opted for Indian Railways. And before I came here in 1980.
Did you literally have the option then?
Yes.
You literally had the option of where I'm going to work. It's that elite.
That's right. Everybody wanted that. You had to compete for it.
Yeah.
And if you had that, if you were successful in competition, then obviously you got what you wanted.
You have the world at your feet.
And then I managed to get mechanical engineering, and I was appointed as mechanical engineering, divisional mechanical engineer in India before I came here. And I got married in India, and in those days it was great to be married to somebody who could speak English. And I was my father arranged my marriage with a girl who was from this country.
Yeah.
And marriage took place in India, and my wife actually went to India. We got married, and she stayed in India for 3 years. And she fell in love with India. She didn't want to. And she never thought that she would like India that much. Obviously, life in Indian Railways was,
She was of Indian origin, though.
Pardon?
She was of Indian origin.
Indian origin, yeah. And when we had our first child, my first daughter, she came here for delivery.
Right.
And I was actually encouraged by my family, right? Oh, you should be there with her.
Yeah.
So I took, in Indian Railways, we could take extended leave up to 3 months.
Right.
And then I came to be with my wife at the time of her delivery in 1998.
Yeah.
1980. And I'm still here talking to you on television. But situation, one circumstances changed, and one situation developed into another. And
So
we made a choice that...
You're typical of many then.
No, I didn't.
Came
My
in for 3 months and never left.
My family, they've all been here many times. Many times.
Yeah, I know. I'm
and
jesting.
they have never forgiven me for doing that, right?
Yeah.
And
So the rest of your family, they live in India?
they all live in
They
India.
still
They wouldn't like to, because they're successful. They have
there's
got
no need for them
good
to,
jobs, and they didn't see any point. And the thing is, when you come here and see the country and compare it with what you have in India, it's not the same. Living here and living in India. But now we have made the decision. My wife's family was from this country, so it was a bit of a difficult decision, right? But it happened, and I have never regretted it, right? So this is how it all started.
Yeah. So 20 to 28 when you got here.
Yeah.
How hard was it to find a job for
finding a job?
Migrant?
One thing I tell you. In those days, 1979, winter of discontent.
Yeah.
Was happening, right?
Yeah.
And 1980 was one of the worst years. it wasn't right for any, Indian to come to this country, and I actually faced difficulties in
That was
getting
the
a
height
job.
of the NF, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was difficult, but I did manage to find a job, as a quality engineer. I wasn't very unhappy, and then after that, I've joined the company that I'm with at the moment, which was called NP Aerospace,
Right.
and now it has been taken over by another global company called Morgan Advanced Materials.
Right.
And
And they're government contracts, are they?
yes, I mean
Armed
we do
forces.
work for Ministry of Defense,
Right.
and things like, I mean, some of our products are known in the world. We make equipment for British Army, helmets, body armor, breastplates,
Right.
and armored carriers. You've heard, the
APCs.
names of snatch vehicles. We made them for British Army when they served in
For Iraq.
Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland?
Yeah, and then we are making today, as I speak, uh, armored carriers called Mastiffs and Ridgebacks
Right.
and Wolfhound. I mean, there's a
You are
long
allowed
list
to
of.
say this.
Pardon?
You are allowed to say this. You have clearance to be able to talk about what you're working
Well, I'm
with, what
promoting
we're working on
my
today.
company, right?
Oh, indeed. Yeah. What was it, Morgan?
And I'm proud. I'm proud that we make something which are best in the world.
Yeah.
Best in the world. I mean, we wherever we go, obviously, we take pride, in what our
Of
company
course,
is
yeah.
doing and what I'm doing as a part of the company. Right? So it has been struggle, right? Because for an Asian, particularly in the early days,
Yeah.
to get a job was difficult, and to get a job with proper respect and
Yeah.
position
Appropriate to your
was more difficult.
academic qualifications.
Yeah, and to establish yourself in this country, as Asians, we had to work twice as hard as others, who were from this country.
Yeah. You prove your worth. so to
Yeah,
speak.
we had to work very hard. But then
Yeah.
I have to be very honest, right? That this country gives you opportunities. This country gives you, whatever we may say, sense of equality, sense of fairness. I have no complaint, no problems, working in this country. It has been a very good experience for me.
Is that, would you say, with the indigenous population, you've got no problem?
No. I honestly sometimes
Would you say equality works across the board in the UK?
there are people, right? People are people, right? In
Yeah.
every society, in every culture, in every civilization, you will find people who are bigots.
Yeah.
Bigots.
No, I mean, on an institutional level, you've had no issues.
I
ever.
didn't. In fact, sometimes, I forget that I'm an Asian.
That you're an Asian.
My name is Davendra, right? But
Yeah.
at work, I'm called Dave.
Yeah.
And I sometimes forget that I'm an Asian, because you get so involved with day-to-day working
You
and
feel
day-to-day
accepted,
running,
you are
and you relate with your colleagues so well.
So do you consider yourself British or Asian?
Oh, British.
Yeah.
That is. I'm very clear.
Never
in my
been
mind.
made to feel anything other than British.
No. I am also a general secretary of another organization,
Yeah.
which I need you to know. It's called BOPA. Right?
Bopa.
BOPA is British Organization for People of Asian Origin, right?
Right.
And the reason why we had to form that organization is because we are beginning to feel that over 40, 50 years, our Asians are, getting very confused, right? And our lives have been taken over by religious leaders, right? Government actually had a policy called strength in diversity, right? And
Yeah,
they
indeed.
encouraged, probably in good spirit, all the communities to promote their own culture, their values, and all that. But by default, that process of change has gone into the hands of religious leaders. Right? I don't think any assessment was done what was happening, and as a result, our younger children, they are becoming. I mean, I don't want to use the word fundamentalist. Younger children are becoming so rigid in their faith values.
Would you say isolationist?
And they're barricading themselves,
Yeah.
not in their British identity, but they are, not associating with this country, of which we are all a part of.
Of course, yeah.
They have given us a place to live in this country. They have given us equality, fairness, and everything. We should be respectful to this country, this society.
We
Right?
accept it as our own.
Yeah.
This is our country.
But from what we are feeling now is that young children are probably not appreciating, what we have. This is our country. This is what we are going to live. This is where my grandchildren are going to live, and their grandchildren, I hope, will live. Right? And we should see ourselves as part of this country. Right? And this is the reason why we have formed this BOPA, right? So that we encourage, community cohesion and integration of our people into British identity.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have our own faith. Our faiths are very important. I'm a Hindu. I see myself as Hindu, and my faith is very important to me. My friends, have their faith. My English friends have got Christian faith. I've got a lot of Muslim friends. They've got Islamic faith, and faiths are required. Right? We can't live a life without any faith.
That's your moral compass.
Yeah, we need to have that, but we have to rise above that. Right?
Yeah.
There is more important things in this life. I don't know what next life exists or not. But while we are living in a society together, preferably in peace, we need to identify ourselves with this country, which has given us everything that we need to live a good, life, right? And by barricading ourselves in religious identities, we are not doing ourselves a favor, right? We need to probably practice our faith. I'm not against practicing faith, but we also need to identify that there's one thing which is...
Surely every faith espouses the embracement of all of humanity.
Yeah, but I was coming to that.
There is no isolationist faith.
In this country, one thing which unites and links all of us together is British identity. And once we start identifying ourselves with British identity, a lot of problems that we have, Sikh and Hindus and Muslim and Christians and Dalits and non-Dalits and high caste and low caste will all disappear, right? So it's important that identification of our people into this country as British citizens will empower us and empower our future generation. It's important. The sooner we do it...
Do you know what that is important. We're going to get into what you do, what issues you have on a personal level, away from who you are. You say, we were just talking just before the break about British identity. It would be a lot simpler or more cohesive for our community to not be so isolationist with regard to individual religions, whether it's Sikh, Muslim, Hinduism, Judaism. Rather than be isolationist, if we all embraced the British identity, but free to practice our religions as we please, that would build a more cohesive and more
better place to live.
A better place to live, yeah.
This country and this world can be a better place to live. If we can somehow come to terms with other people's religious faith and start respecting them, right? And also, obviously, have belief in your faith, whichever faith we are.
Yeah.
Because, as General Secretary of Caste Watch UK, we do not believe that any faith preaches any kind of mistreatment of fellow human beings.
Right? Yeah, I wouldn't.
I do not know. I'm a Hindu myself.
Yeah.
And in Hindu faith, the Hinduism that I know, has got no place for any kind of discrimination or mistreatment. Right? Similarly, you can name any faith, whether it's Islam or Sikhism or Buddhism. They are brilliant faiths, right? And their founders, from time to time, have recognized, the faults in the human behavior of their time. Like Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha, 2,000 years ago, recognized that there were problems within the society at the time, and he came up with, Buddhism, which was to cure the humanity of social evils at his time.
Yeah.
And then and then different times, people. Prophet Muhammad came. He also wanted this world to be a better place, so that all human beings can live in peace.
Yeah.
And I did not know till recently that the word Islam means peace.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, when you talk about Islam, what's happening in Arab world and
In the name of Islam, in the name of peace.
That's the impression you get.
It's ironic.
But I've got Muslim friend, particularly in Bhopal, right? And they have taught me a lot what Islam is. It's a religion of peace.
Peace,
right?
yeah.
This is not how it is. Right? This is one example where faith is different from what followers are practicing. Similarly, then Shri Guru Ravidas ji came. He saw caste as a big issue at his time, and he challenged that institution of caste. Right?
Well, Guru Nanak challenged it.
And then his contemporary was Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Right?
Yeah.
And when my Sikh friend says, "Oh, I'm a Sikh," right? I feel a bit of offended, right? Because Sikhism is not a property of Sikh community or Sikh. Guru Nanak Dev Ji founded Sikhism for the whole humanity. As a part of this humanity, I think
but to follow as Sikhism.
Yeah.
It's not an
follow
option.
Sikhism is understanding what the philosophy is.
Indeed.
And practicing the philosophy. Like I give you one example. Sikh philosophy says all human beings, Manav ki jaat sab ek hi pehchan. In English, you see, the translation is all human beings belong to same caste.
Indeed.
How many Sikhs believe in that? From our experience, I tell you, as General Secretary Caste Watch UK, we find, we have got a serious issue, not with the faith.
Yeah, but that's with individuals.
Yeah.
But that could be said for quite a few religions.
Yeah, or the caste
Hindu religion
actually,
in particular.
Caste knows no religious boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Caste knows. Anybody who is from that part of India or South Asia, they are all different faiths, whether they are Buddhist or they are Christians or Muslims or Sikhs or Hindus. Although people trace it back to Hinduism because Hinduism is the original, ancient religion.
Can we just make clear that the caste issue within the Sikh community is very separate to the Sikh religion?
I said that in the beginning. No faith, not just Sikh religion, every religion. No religion preaches, that human beings should be mistreated on whatever ground, whatever ground. I'm a Hindu. I can say that Hinduism has got no place. But there are two types of Hindus.
Indeed.
One is Hindus and one are called caste Hindus. Caste Hindus are those Hindus who think that if you eliminate or demolish caste, it will demolish Hinduism. That's a lot of nonsense,
Yeah.
Sorry to use
They believe in the Varna system.
Yeah, and that, like origin, where have we come from? Where are the people who are victims of caste? Where have they appeared from? They haven't come from planet Mars,
No.
They have. We believe, and like Vedas have been, transmitted from generation to generation, our story has been, transmitted from generation to generation. We are the original inhabitants of India, right? My father and my grandmother told us that we are the people who lived in India, and we were conquered by whoever. And there are examples in the modern history, right? Look at America. North America, for example.
Exactly.
Native Indians had a very advanced culture. They were happy. They had very good social structure.
They had an equilibrium.
They had equilibrium. They lived at peace with nature.
Yeah.
What's happening now? These people have come, and what's happening in South America? South American subcontinent.
Yeah.
These Spanish people have gone,
European
the conquistadors, and they've conquered everybody, destroyed, killed people, destroyed their culture. It's not the first time it is happening in the history of the world. These things have happened in the past.
Over and over.
What happened in, for example, Australia? Who are Australians? Australians are Aborigines.
Yeah.
Happened in this country. Who are the original people who actually can claim that this country is theirs?
Yeah.
Celtic, who living in Wales.
But these issues have been going on for millennia.
Yeah.
Agreed. But where we sit today as British citizens, and I feel as British as you say you are.
Yeah.
With regard to the caste system, your organisation, along with various other organisations as an umbrella group, pushed for legislation.
That's right, yeah.
To basically outlaw or prescribe anti-caste discrimination based on caste.
That's right. Mistreatment of fellow citizens.
Yeah. Do you think that was necessary?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like if I ask a question to a fellow Asian.
Was the existing legislation for race discrimination not enough?
No, not enough. There's a difference between race and caste, right? Clear difference. I mean, we have spoken this to various researchers, government, organizations. They all agree.
But
caste is totally different from race.
Completely. Because the argument you've just given me was that you were amongst the original inhabitants of India.
That's right.
So a race of people invaded India and took over your land.
Yeah.
And then told you that you're inferior to them.
That's right.
So they're a different race. They might be of similar colour. You may share cultural values, but technically you're different races.
Caste system, what you will find is, caste system does not just affect us, right?
Oh no, of course not.
Caste system is a social hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who is below Brahmin is a low caste.
In Hinduism?
No. In India, forget about Hinduism. I mean, let me just say, for example.
Would a Sikh come into that?
Yeah.
But Sikhs are not part of that
you see,
caste structure.
I'm high caste. I mean, young kids particularly, who do not understand what caste is, what caste system is, they feel proud to declare their caste. I'm from such and such caste, and I'm proud of it. Right?
Of course.
Now, they don't realize what caste is. If somebody could explain to them what caste system is and their position in the caste system, they will be ashamed to say that they're high caste. Because they're not high caste, they're low caste, right? So some people are reinventing the caste system, right? Because some actually communities have become very successful financially and otherwise. So they think now they no longer have a low place in the caste system.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. Caste system is rigid. Caste is given to you and me by birth.
It's hereditary.
We can't change it.
Yeah.
Even if you become a millionaire, I become a billionaire, we will still be the caste that we were born with. There is no change. And this is what, makes it different from other forms of discrimination because...
No, but race is hereditary.
No, but...
Regardless of how much I say that my skin is not brown,
no, but
no matter how patriotically British and English I may feel, there will always be somebody, whether I agree with them or not, who can point the finger at me and say, you're not quite English, mate.
No, but what I'm saying is the caste discrimination, again, I have never been treated for my race, right? I've just mentioned to you.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Because race has never been an issue. People are very educated and have become aware of what racial discrimination, what race is. Caste still continues to destroy the life of victims. If it was racial discrimination, people would be aware that, they should not be discriminating, right? Caste discrimination is still going on. The reason is because it is different from racial discrimination. It is
what was your first experience?
Intra-race, right?
What was your first experience of caste discrimination?
First experience was at school, right?
In Delhi?
In Delhi.
Right.
Up till the level of higher secondary,
because you went to an exclusive private school.
Yeah.
So was there major caste differentiation in the school? Like, were you an individual, or were you part of a number of people of the same caste?
Delhi is a cosmopolitan city. Right?
Yeah.
You got people from Punjab, people from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, people from all regions. Right?
Melting pot of all
as long as
India's
you
cultures.
Say that I'm from Punjab,
yeah,
and people from Uttar Pradesh, Bengal, and Madras, they leave you alone, right?
Right.
They don't bother with what caste this, that, and another. Right? And I was in our group. There were people from Uttar Pradesh, UP, Bihar, and all these states, and caste was never an issue. Right? Right. Only when at higher secondary, we had to fill in a form, right, where they actually asked, "What caste are you?" Higher secondary.
Right.
And
so it became institutionalized.
Then I had to declare it, right? Obviously. Yeah. Now I have to say one thing, that my parents never made us feel inadequate for whatever caste I was in, because what I discovered was that other people may think that this is a low caste and people are inferior. When I speak to people, their perception of a low caste is somebody who is shabbily dressed. Yeah. Somebody who is not clean, shaved properly. His hair is all over the place.
Not quite civilized.
Dark skinned, red eyes, stink coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
When he speaks, probably spit comes out. Is the impression
Indeed.
that's the kind of impression you get from. And when they find somebody who doesn't have these characteristics, they get disorientated. They get, oh my God, he can't be that. He's one of us. So I probably, because I grew up in Delhi, we grew up same as everybody around us. Right? But at that stage, I felt for the first time, my teacher asked me 3-4 times, "Are you sure you're from this caste?" I said, "Yes." I can't believe it. Right? Why don't you believe it?
Why? Do I need to be animalistic?
And then I went and said to my dad, right? I said, "Look, this teacher asked me 3-4 times that, are you sure you're from this caste, right?" So that was the first time he knew my caste. Right?
You didn't ask your dad, did you? Are you sure, Dad?
I know, but then, as I said earlier, because in higher secondary, in the later months,
Yeah.
In the last year, they used to prepare the talented children.
Yeah.
They used to give them extra attention, right?
Yeah.
So they
Like a
wanted to see
preparatory-
their names in the merit list, right?
Yeah.
I was one of those children who was actually potential candidate for, in the merit list. And my father, told me, "It's okay, don't worry, just carry on with what you're doing."
Yeah.
I saw a change in his behavior towards me. He started taking less interest. I saw that.
Right.
What he couldn't do was to stop me from achieving, the results I was achieving from birth to that place. And then I carried on achieving. I'm achieving in this country, right? Caste have got nothing. Caste should not be able to stop you, right?
That's what I'm asking you. Has it affected
No,
you?
no, it hasn't affected me, right? Because it is up to you to have that determination. And this is, there's something which my parents gave.
No, but so whether it's affected you or not, how were you aware that it even existed, that people were being affected?
Because we used to go to our, place where our relatives and everybody lived.
Yeah.
We saw other people doing menial jobs, but we also knew that they're doing menial jobs not because they love to do it. They're not doing, the work with leather, for example,
Yeah.
because the smell of leather is good and all that.
Yeah.
They were forced to do it.
Yeah.
These occupations were forced upon these
But
people.
they weren't forced upon you.
No, because, this is what I'm saying. When British people came to, and this is why I've got great respect for British society.
And
Right?
values.
When British people came with them Christian missionaries. Right?
Of course.
They were the first one to recognize that there was a
Well,
problem.
the Portuguese came with Christian
The Portuguese
Catholic.
they were concentrated
in south of India.
in
Kerala,
Goa. Right? So
yeah.
very, so I'm not familiar with what Portuguese did. Right? But English people,
Yeah.
particularly Christian missionaries, right? And I mean, we sometimes at Caste Watch, we sometimes get this, scaremongering from people who are trying to oppose us. Oh, Christian missionaries, because they wanted to convert people. I'm not converted. I'm still a Hindu. Right? I never felt because Christian missionary did this, that, and other, I needed to convert. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think Christian religion and Christian missionaries are pretty, good at helping people. I look at Mother Teresa, right?
Yeah.
Was she there to convert people in India? She wasn't. No. She was looking, she is one of the icons in doing good work for the society, for the human society, right? She is recognized by the whole world, Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
She wasn't there to convert people.
Bhagat Puran Singh does exactly the same thing.
And there are a lot of other, people. But
well, he did. He's passed
one
away
of the, constant banging we get, oh, you got Christians supporting you, you got Christians winding you up, and they are stirring up. That's nonsense, right? People in this country, we are more aware of our human rights. Right? We are more aware that what happened in India, you can't change the cycle, or you can't go back in time and change what happened. I remember my grandmother telling us that if you want to come out of this, one thing you remember, you need to educate yourself. Right? She knew the power that lies in education. Right? And my father was the first person within our, family who my grandmother insisted she had to work twice as hard, because my grandfather died when my father was only 5 years. Right. So she was a single parent, right?
Yeah.
Single parent, she sent my father to school. And when my father used to tell us stories that he used to get beaten up in school. He wasn't accepted in, teachers used to have a separate stick to beat him up. He used to he was made to sit in a corner.
Separate stick to beat him
My
up.
father,
So they wouldn't
my
even use the
generation.
same stick on two
no,
children?
no. And for drinking water, my grandmother's house was, I think, about nearly half a mile away from. They didn't have water bottles in those
No,
days
of course not.
that you could take. So my dad had to walk half a mile just to go and drink water and have food and come back and educate. And in spite of all these atrocities that were committed, and it used to make me feel cry, right? That how can, a teacher beat somebody, an innocent, young child, and stop him from acquiring education because he's from a caste, right? And that increased and this is, the character that I've got, and the reason I'm taken these issues more seriously.
Yeah.
The stories that I heard from my father affected me more than my own experience. Right? By the time I grew up, and I learned from my father that you decide. It's not important what other people think of you. It's more important what you think of yourself. Right?
Indeed.
If you think that you are low, you will remain low. Right?
Self-esteem is the key.
Yeah. If you think that you are as good as anybody else, if not better, then you can be that. Right? And this is the kind of vision my father gave, and I believe in that. So this is why we want to create a society, Caste Watch UK. Our aim, and not only me, we've got other members, and we've got fantastic volunteers in us, right?
You see yourselves.
Yeah.
You've managed to get this law passed.
Yeah.
What's the actual the law? What's the status of that situation at the moment? Because it's been voted through Parliament. It's Houses of Commons and the Lords have both agreed. They've both voted it through. Is it on the statutes?
Yes. This is. I think we're very lucky.
It's in working.
Statute,
it's working now.
No, it is. It is in the statute book. Law has been made.
Yeah.
And we are very relieved, right? Because it took us 10 years. We had, all those groups and all those faith groups who do not believe that the caste system should be got rid of. And even those faith groups...
Was that their stand? Their stand was that the caste system should not be dismantled.
And even, unfortunately, even those faith groups of which caste system should not be a part of, they were opposing us. For 10 years, it took us 10 years, to get this discriminatory law passed, right? But we are lucky and thankful, to the British political system that they recognize the problem, and 356 peers in the House of Lords is a very big number. Right?
Of course, yeah.
243 MPs is a very big number.
That's quite a cross-party.
When they say British political system who ruled India for 300 years and who are experts and who know exactly what caste system is. Right? You don't have to tell them,
They're
they know it.
Of what the caste system involves.
And for us to say, what is the definition of caste, right? We are not happy with it. What's the definition of Sikh? What's the definition? I consider myself to be Hindu. I don't think caste should be a part of Hindu. And any Hindu who opposes us, I don't view that person as a Hindu. And yet, a group of people have come and met the government that it is going to affect Hindus. Of course, those Hindus who think that caste should remain, right? Caste is a serious problem. And when President Obama went to India, addressed the Indian Parliament, he mentioned about Dr. Ambedkar and he mentioned about caste. When people like President Obama is aware that it's a serious issue, it's an issue of 400 million people, right? There are 400 million people who are victims of caste in India. What is the population of this country? 60 million. What is the population of Syria? 20 million. And countries are prepared to go to war for Syria because they think human rights abuses are taking place. I mean,
but quite a different scale with Syria.
Our scale
is chemical weapons have been used, regardless of who used them. They have
chemical
been used.
weapons.
100,000 people dead.
But when you look at the atrocities in Dalits, 3 Dalits get beaten up every day. 18 Dalits get beaten up. 3 women are raped every day in India. And I'm not inventing that. Just Google it. Just Google Dalit atrocities in India and you can read the figures. The situation, if you compare Indian Dalit situation to what's happening in Syria.
This is a law that affects the UK, Britain, Great Britain.
That's right, yeah. But what I'm saying is, government...
Is there an issue in England?
It is a massive issue. Massive. And This is the reason why we have been campaigning. Caste system is being taught in schools. Right?
In England.
And this is how I became involved, because my children, when they were in school, they came and they said, "Dad, what caste are we?" Right? What do you want to know? But we were taught in school, right? This subject, Hinduism in RE, religious education.
Yeah.
And they are teaching us that, in Hinduism, some castes are superior and they are supposed to be pure in thoughts and this, that, and other.
Right.
And some low caste people are inferior, and people from higher caste don't interdine and intermarry with. I said, there's a lot of nonsense. I was horrified.
In the UK, they were taught that at school.
Yes, the British government is aware of that, and people
as,
who are
as part of the
opposing us
curriculum.
as part of the curriculum, right? That was the starting point, right?
Right.
And there was another incident in Coventry, right? I live in Coventry, and we had a booklet published by Coventry City Council, right?
Right.
And that booklet was actually published by City Council to educate their white staff how to, deal with Asians, when they come to them as clients, right? So the booklet said that if the name says Singh, is from Sikh community. If the name is Kumari or Kumar, is Hindu. If it's Muhammad or something, is Muslim. So the idea was very good thought behind it. But one of the chapters, and I was one of the officials in a community, one of the communities. Right? When it came to me in draft form, I read it, and one of the chapter was caste, right? And it said in caste various things, and there's a untouchable caste, and they are the lowest.
They use the word untouchable.
Untouchable, and they're
What
called
year was
Harijan.
this?
They're called Harijan, and people in Hindus in this is the wording. Hindus in Great Britain would wish to observe caste system and wish to, avoid interdining and intermarriage with people from low caste. It is published by City Council, not by, our organization. And we said, what's going on? Do English people need to know who is low caste and who is high caste?
You know what it is? It's.
And now when we
sometimes,
when
you talk about multiculturalism and political correctness, sometimes that is an overzealous council official who wants to look like he's researched his stuff really well.
No, he was a member of a Hindu organization who believed that it should be emphasized that caste is an integral part system. We knew him, right?
Okay.
And he was so reluctant to apologize.
Right.
He said, look, this is how I understand Hinduism is. Right?
So that was a draft sent to you? Was it used?
No. I mean, this is what I'm saying. British society is different from our own society, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They recognize there's a problem, and they then withdrew it was in the media, even in the national media, right? 1995, 96.
Yeah.
But this is when it was all starting. And when we started researching what's going on, that's when we found that it's being taught in school. It's been, people at work are suffering. There are some factories where you had Indian population. People had to use a different taps, right? They were reluctant to allow. In UK, in this country. One chap in Birmingham area, he was so fed up. I mean, he reported his caste intimidation to his supervisors.
From fellow employees?
Fellow employees. And but the supervisor was Asian himself, so he just ignored it. He said, bloody hell, so what's the problem, right?
Yeah.
It has happened for centuries, He didn't take it. Then he had to go on hunger strike, right? In this country. That's when we got involved.
Is this documented?
Yeah, it is documented. We took his case to House of Lords, right? This chap was taken to House of Lords, met the peers, told his story, and they said, look, we cannot believe that somebody had to go on hunger strike in this country.
In this country.
Because people refuse to acknowledge that this chap is having a problem, right? I mean, caste is a direct attack on human dignity.
It is indeed.
I remember one fellow member of caste watch. He is a millionaire, right? He's a millionaire.
Yeah.
And he said, look, one day he had a personal incident. Somebody came to him and said, you can become a millionaire, you can become anything. You can't change your caste. You're still, as far as I'm concerned, you're still low, right? I mean, what do you say to that?
Say goodbye.
Goodbye. I mean, these are the kind of prejudices, and you don't blame the people who are practicing it, right? They're doing what they've been doing it for centuries. Right? You know, we are quite prepared to acknowledge that this has been happening for centuries, and this is why Sadhguru Nanak Ji, 10th Guru. I mean, we are talking about equality 2010.
Yeah.
This equality law was passed in 1699
Indeed.
by 10th Holy Guru.
Shri Guru Granth Sahib,
You know, Shri Guru
Sahib.
Gobind Singh Ji, who is my hero, right? He tried to challenge and demolish this whole curse to the human society.
He did.
But did people follow him? I mean, we still have his followers in this country officially opposing us. How can people who believe in the philosophy passed on by Shri Guru Nanak Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji? I mean, I'm not saying, you know, something which is not documented. See the government, they are asking, what is the definition of caste? We can ask, what is the definition of a Sikh? I believe in Sikh teaching. I think I'm a Sikh. You know, who is a Sikh, right? And similarly, who is a Hindu? So what I'm trying to emphasize is, if you believe in Sikh philosophy,
Well, it is the two run in parallel.
Yeah.
Would you say that people who are using the Sikh religion for their own spiritual benefit, they don't really see caste, I would say?
I hope so. I hope so. But they are not coming out openly in our favor. There's only one group, and I don't know whether you would allow me to say that, one human rights groups that we have recently met, right?
Yeah.
And who say that they represent, you know, Sikh human rights.
UK based.
UK based.
Right.
We have come in touch with them, and they are the only group who has given us some kind of assurance. Right? They are working alongside us, and we
That's
know
positive, though, isn't it?
positive, and we are encouraged
These
by
are the
that.
Sikhs I'm talking about. The people that use Sikhism.
But then the thing is, normal general Sikhs don't recognize them as representative of Sikh religion. It makes me very sad.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you like this way. There are Sikhs who use their religion for spiritual benefit.
Yeah.
Personal spiritual benefit, and for those they're in the immediate environment, so that they can give the Guru's teachings their way and make their own personal living space a sort of utopia, so to speak. Then you have Sikhs who only identify with the Sikh religion on a Sunday morning, but 6 days a week they're British, and in those 6 days, their limited interaction with people of other castes. All of a sudden they're Punjabi. And it's not so much that they're Sikhs, it's more so that they're now culturally, not religious, but culturally, they now become Punjabi, and I am this caste and you are this caste. Technically they're born and bred in England, they are no caste whatsoever. But they use whatever fig leaf of legitimacy that they want to use for their argument against somebody. Where they're going to talk
superior.
where they're going to talk to somebody of a different faith, they will be they'll play the Singh card, so to speak. Where they're going to speak to another Sikh, they're going to out-British them. And where they're going to talk to somebody from a different caste, they're going to talk about casteism. So that regardless of what their appearance may well look like a Sikh, or they may well look like a Hindu, or they may well be a Muslim, but when it comes to different approaches to different kinds of people, there will be that differentiating factor where at one point they'll be using their religion, and at another point they'll be using their culture, and at another point they'll be using their nationality, and then at another point they'll use their caste.
Probably
whichever weapon for whichever adversary.
You know, I said it in the beginning. Faiths are great.
Yeah. When practiced
religious
properly.
faith, philosophies are great. All the faiths are.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's the followers which need to examine
Indeed.
their heads.
There's
whether they're
narrow-minded
practicing.
people all over the world.
And what you have just described, there are people who use faith as means to an end.
Indeed.
Their end could be prospering themselves, getting more business, you know,
Absolutely.
or having some networks, you know. And if they are using a faith as a means to an end, probably the faith leaders should be careful. You know, they need to probably define the boundaries. That look, these are the teaching of our holy gurus, and if you violate these teaching, we are sorry, right? You might claim whatever you are.
But
But we are not consider you as a Sikh, right? And one of the core teaching of Sikh faith, as I understand, but my grandmother, my dadi was a Sikh, to be honest. And the teaching that I've got a lot of respect for Sikhism, because it has come to me through my own grandmother.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
But I also know that what Sikh, gurus taught is not being implemented and practiced, and not in the times of gurus, because gurus
There was a
always
black and white answer for everything.
gave space and place. I mean, I remember an incident when Emperor Akbar came to us, to meet Holy Sikh Guru, and he was made to sit with everybody else. Right? Gurus establish human equality. Well, it doesn't matter whether you're a king or a businessman or whatever. Yeah. They want, or high caste or low caste. Everybody was equal. But it happened in the times of Holy Gurus. Right? But I think you keep mentioning about Sikh people, right? By mentioning the fact that
I'm not mentioning them though.
No, what I'm saying, which has occurred a couple of times during our conversation.
Yeah.
We seem to think that Sikh faith is only meant for Sikh community, right? I've never believed in that. Sikhism was founded for the humanity, right?
Yeah.
And
But
by keep saying that, oh, we are Sikhs, we are limiting Sikhs to just people from Doaba, or probably one particular part of Punjab, which is a small part of India. India is a small part of the whole world. Sikh, philosophy and religion was founded for everybody.
For everybody to join.
To join in.
Yeah.
And so caste has.
So the Sikh community is the Sikh community of the Sikh religion.
Yeah.
It's free for anyone to join.
That's right.
But it does belong to the Sikhs.
No, it belongs to the world. It belongs to humanity.
It's open for the world to join.
Yeah. And that joining has stopped.
It doesn't mean that somebody who refuses to be part of the Sikh community then imposes on the Sikh community what it should and shouldn't believe.
No, but I know people who believe in Sikh philosophy, who do their all rituals and everything, marriage with the Sikh way of life. But to speak to a Sikh, he doesn't think that they are proper Sikhs, right? Well, I don't want to go into that part of the debate, because that sometimes becomes sensitive, right?
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is that Sikh religion is for everybody, right?
But it's not for them to subvert.
No. But what I'm saying is people should be encouraging people. Spread the philosophy by demonstrating that core teachings are being followed. And one of the demonstrations is by practicing all human beings are equal, right? There's no caste in the religion.
Okay, the highest temporal seat of the Sikh religion is the Akal Takht. The Akal Takht, by way of decree or Hukamnama, will tell the Sikh diaspora and the Sikhs that live within India itself what the core fundamentals are of the religion. It's believed and said, and possibly true, that there are only thus 10 gurus of the Sikh religion.
Yeah, I've got
and the 11th is Sri Guru Granth Sahib, which is the embodiment of all 10.
Yeah, I believe that.
There are people of a particular caste who then will have not only have they suggested, they set up temples with the 11th Guru. Of a Guru they say resides in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, therefore he is a Guru. Now that, hurting the sentiments of the Sikhs, is going to attract a negative response from the Sikhs, which can then be misinterpreted as a caste issue, whereas it's really an issue of hurting the sentiments of the Sikhs.
What we have discovered during our campaign, right? There are some communities who believe in, there are a lot of temples, right? Balaji temple, for example, Satyanarayan temple. There are a lot of temples where, or Durga Mata temple,
of course.
Or Catholic
but
church,
they're explicitly Catholic.
But people decide what their beliefs are.
Of course.
And they want to name the place of worship. If people believe in that particular Guru, Holy Guru, right? I think what every right to say that they believe in that Guru, and they should have the name of that Guru.
They've misrepresented an entire religion.
No, like for example, I give you one. Let me just name that Shri Guru Ravidas Temple, for example. Shri Guru Ravidas Temple, when you read the board, it says that that place of worship, people believe in philosophy of Shri Guru Ravidas, and that's what they want to pursue, right? I don't think anybody should have any objection in that. They choose. We got Nirankari temple here. I go to Nirankari temple. I love to go there, right? And living Guru, holy Guru, holy Babaji comes there, and I really enjoy, his doing whatever everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
I've spoken to holy Babaji, Nirankari Babaji. These people are doing a fantastic work, right? Why should anybody object to people choosing to? I mean, look at India, right? There's so many gurus, multimillionaire guru, right?
Of course. But they're gurus for their followers.
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
what
gurus of the Sikh
you
religion.
now exactly said.
Yeah.
Followers decide
Yeah.
who they want to worship.
Indeed.
And other people should not have any objection. Why are they following him, right?
As long as it's made explicit that this is
And
completely separate from the Sikh religion.
Explicit, the name on the temple signifies explicitly that temple is for the followers of that particular guru, right?
But they're worshipping the Sri Guru Granth Sahib of the Sikh religion.
I don't want to go into that debate because that's a sensitive area. I mean, if they think that it is a problem, it's up to them to find a way out. Either they should say, okay, here's we are keeping ours,
Indeed. That would be a solution.
Yeah.
But the solution isn't to suggest that any criticism of that situation is a caste issue. It's not an issue of you are a particular caste and therefore that's an issue. Therefore, it morphs into that, whereas it should actually just remain as simple as our religion and your religion. And
probably,
if it's not the same religion,
then
that needs to be made explicit, that these are two very separate religions. But you can't, at the same time as saying that we're Sikhs, but not practice Sikh religion the way the Akal Takht has ordained it to be
Okay,
done.
let me ask you a question. Or let's ask myself a question.
Yeah.
Or let me ask your audience a question here.
Yeah.
Why do people do that? If Sikhism is such a great religion, why do people feel need to follow somebody else? Because they think that they are not getting adequate respect, adequate equality from their fellow Sikhs. Is that one of the reasons? I think the Sikh community should look deeply into themselves and to the faith.
Yeah.
Is it being practiced properly? Why have they're a part of the Sikh community?
There is definitely a caste issue within the Sikh religion.
Yeah.
That's clear.
So instead of blaming
I haven't blamed anybody.
No. I'm not saying you or me.
Yeah.
Whoever does that, instead of blaming those people for saying things against, there's a caste is a problem. That's number one indicator.
Yeah.
It's a caste which is doing all that. Those people who are now asking questions, because at one time people joined faiths, whether it was Christianity or a lot of people from, my faith, Hindu faith, became Muslims, right? Muslims haven't come from, North America or South America. They are part of our own stock of people, right? And why did they become? Because they saw a benefit in becoming Muslims.
Of course, yeah. What they didn't do was create a new branch of Islam.
No, what I'm saying is,
what they didn't do,
that's why, because you haven't got. We deal with, Muslim community as well. Caste system is as bad in.
No. The caste system exists. What I'm saying is they haven't changed the Prophet Muhammad's message from Muhammad, like the Sunni and Shia.
Yeah.
Shia believe in numerous prophets.
I would suggest if we stay away from this discussion.
Well, all I'm saying is that if you're going to compare the two, then the Dalit community who are Muslim are not suggesting that there is a Dalit prophet. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're accepting Islam for what it was. But whereas the Sikh community have decided that because there is a Bhagat within the Guru Granth Sahib, we should therefore promote him to Guru.
No, but what you don't realize is, even in the Muslim community, and I know that there are Peer Babas and
Of course, yeah.
And they become.
They're not on a level as a prophet.
No. What I'm saying is, but for some people, they worship those Peer Babas as much
by choice. But they couldn't name a mosque after those Peer.
They do.
Do they?
There are a lot of mosques in Delhi. I know there are a lot of mosques on Peer Baba's name.
In the UK?
I'm not sure about UK. But
I don't think the Muslims have much of a say about what happens in India.
No. I'm just saying that there are examples where
they've had the Babri Masjid torn down, and nobody really listens to any objections.
And similarly, what at the bottom line is, if at one time, Dalits became Sikhs.
Yeah.
Benefits. I mean, they thought they will get liberation from caste oppression, caste suppression, caste inequality, which they did probably in the time of Holy Gurus. I know, they did. In the, one of
Even
our
Maharaja
guys,
Ranjit Singh.
one of our guys, who ninth Holy Guru when he was, martyred in Delhi.
Yeah.
One of our guys took his head.
Indeed.
And 10th Guru gave him the status of Rangreta Guru ka beta. Right? I mean, what a high status, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there were examples in those days. Equality was taking place at the level of Holy Gurus, right? But what I'm saying is that now, at that time, they were Dalits. When I say Dalit means oppressed, depressed, and all that. Situation has changed. People are educated now. People are got good jobs. Financially, they are independent. They do not want to be treated and mistreated just because they've got a different caste. And they expect their faith to give them the kind of, equality and the respect that Holy Gurus gave at his time. Right? There wasn't these issues when actual Gurus were alive. Right?
No, of course not.
They have become recently, because what I'm saying is recent issues, they have become issues because people have progressed. People know about their human rights. People are more advanced. They have got their own businesses. They're not dependent on any caste or anything for their, particularly in this country. I'm not dependent on an Asian to promote me or send me for training or something. My bosses are British, right?
Absolutely.
So if I don't expect anybody from any faith to give me equality, right? I've got equality from this country, right? But what I do expect from people from faith is give me that dignity, a feeling of the dignity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And any faith which robs me of my dignity as human being and keep using caste as a weapon to attack me, to make me feel small, I've got issue with that faith, right? And I will challenge, is this the right faith for me to be in? Then I'll have only two options: either to convince the people who are in the power to do something about it, or find or invent another faith or join or convert, right? And what probably is going to happen is, I mean, I do not particularly like that if you are from Ravidasi community, for example, and you see yourself as a Sikh, right? My first suggestion will be stop calling yourself Ravidasi now.
Of course.
Call yourself Sikh. But it's not up to the Ravidasi man to call himself Sikh only, because if he goes to a Sikh temple and those people, refuse to, register the marriage of his son because he's got Ram in his name, it's happening. I tell you that it's happening. You've got evidence.
In Sikh temples?
Yeah, we have been told that some Ravidasi Sikhs, because not every Ravidasi...
Have you contacted Gurdwara? Or have you just been told?
No, this is part of the research that we were doing.
Yeah, part of that research, have you actually contacted the temple?
We get this from Hindu organization. Show us, example. When we show them example, we had a case in Bilston Temple, Hindu temple, right?
Yeah.
We were involved, where Hindus were being discriminated because they were from low caste, right? We informed Hindu Council UK and Hindu Forum of Britain. That was 10 months ago, right?
Right.
Never heard from them. They are fully aware, right? So saying something is great. When we are on common platforms, on political arena, everybody says, tell us, show us, But when we tell them, what do? Nothing, right? Cause problem.
No. I'm not planning on doing anything.
I'm
just asking you you've said that this happened in a Sikh temple.
Yeah.
Simple enough to just ask whether you've contacted the temple. All I wanted to know was their response. Whether they did anything about it or not.
No, they didn't do anything.
We
contacted the temple.
Yeah.
There's one temple in Leamington, right? I shouldn't be naming the names of the city as well. It happened, right? Where there was a case, right? Some low caste was marrying the so-called, right?
Low caste,
We don't like to use the word Dalit. I would not like my grandchildren.
I struggle with what to call
my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, their grandchildren. I will not like to be labelled as Dalits, right?
Yeah.
I would rather them be British, right? But it's happening today, and that's the reason why we have got this law in place. Law is not going to change everything. Law is the starting point.
The law comes into effect 2015.
No, it should, by normal procedure is, when the law comes into the statute book, normal procedure is within 3 to 6 months, whatever consultation, needs to take place, takes place, and within 6 months, law is implemented. This is the first time in the British history where British democracy and British political system, and I will blame one particular party, Conservative Party, not Liberal Democrats, Tories, Conservative Party, they are doing so many things which are not acceptable to the British, British public, right?
No.
And this is one of the things. For some reason, they are decided that consultation will go over 2 years, and what we suspect is going to happen is.
So they've passed something into law.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have a consultation about the law.
Yeah. And they have known it for the last 10 years.
Shouldn't they have a consultation before the law?
Yes, they should have. This law was passed in 2010, right?
Yeah.
3 years ago.
What's the reason they've given for that?
Well, reason is because they have been approached by, as we have been told, by people who are not interested in caste equality,
Right.
and they are now trying to find every possible reason. Because our people, although we are here, we got a long way to go before we can claim equality. We have to.
Course.
When we compare, on absolute term, comparatively, we still have got a long struggle in front
Yeah,
of
no
us,
doubt
right?
there's an issue. No
But
doubt.
at the moment, the people who are opposing us have got that financial and political muscle, right? And they are trying to muscle in their, and we are trying to oppose that by expressing to the government through peaceful demonstration, peaceful, negotiation, that no, they should make sure that this country remains the leader in the world on human rights issues.
Indeed.
This is not a religious issue. Why government
It's a
is
moral
getting
imperative
engaged with
for equality.
why are they engaging with religious institutions or organizations? Nothing to do with them, right? Human rights issues should be treated like a human rights issue,
Yeah.
like same-sex marriage, forced marriages,
Well, it's a secular issue.
Yeah, and
It's
even things like simple things like a dog fouling a street. There's a law to cover that. No, you can't keep a dog and let it foul your neighbor's garden, and yet 400, 500,000, and so several thousand people are being victimized, and government thinks it's not an issue serious enough. This is not comprehensible.
Yeah.
This is not British way of working, right? British way of working is no British citizen,
Everyone is equal.
whether they're old,
in law.
or black or white or Muslim or Hindu or whatever, no British citizen should be discriminated and made to feel uncomfortable. Right? We have got victims of caste discrimination. Their dignity is being compromised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Davendra Singh, I appreciate you spending time out of your busy schedule to come in and speak to us today. And I thank you. I thank you for a very, very interesting conversation. Fascinating, in fact.
I thank Sangat Television. Caste is an issue from our experience. Media likes to stay away from. But Sangat Television, I must say, fulfills their duty of care, duty of sense of responsibility
It's our obligation
to the community. And the viewers of Sangat Television, I have said what I have to say. Caste is a cancer of Asian communities. I think now is the time to deal with it. We have got a law in statute book. We must get it implemented, get past it, and then we have got a harder work in front of us. We will have to work together as communities to change the basic attitudes and mindsets of people. That will be harder. Changing law was probably easier. Changing the mindset of people, where all of you and all the faith groups, all the community groups, and all the human rights groups will come
and allow humanity
and probably
to flourish.
join us in doing that, so that our future generation don't have to worry about this caste issue or any issue. They should be living their life as British citizens.
I'd say if there's anything you want to look up on, your best bet is to go on the Google Caste Watch UK, and you can see the sort of things that Davendra is involved with and the sort of things that he's pushing for. Other than that, I can only say thank you for watching. Look out for next week's episode of Encounters, and we'll see you then. Bye.